Hi everyone, thanks for joining our Copilot webinar. So we've got sort of quite a bit of content to get through in the next 30 minutes, so we'll keep it fairly concise. So I'll just do a little bit of housekeeping to start with, take you through the intro and then we'll crack on. So basically, as you'll see, we've switched off video and audio. We don't basically just so we don't get sort of caught in a dialogue and sort of run over on time. Like I say, we need to keep it fairly slick to make it as useful as possible. But what I will say is if you've got any questions, we've left the chat feature open for everybody. So if you just pop your questions in there, we'll collate them at the end. We'll put answers against them and we'll send them all out in one document after the webinar as part of the follow-up. And we'll be sending some other stuff as part of the follow-up, but I'll cover that at the end. The session is being recorded and transcribed as well, just so everybody's aware. The recording will go on YouTube, and we'll send the link as part of the follow-up as well. So if there's anything that you want to go back through, redigest, anything you want to revisit, the recording will be sent as part of the follow-up. So just a couple of quick intros, just so you know who you are speaking to. Yeah, just next slide, Tom. So I'm Andy Ballantyne, Sales Director at Circle Cloud, been with the business for 10 plus years, don't know the exact figure to be honest now. So I'll take you through the first bit, a couple of minutes, just intros, and cover off what we're going to look at, just so you know the structure of the next 30 minutes. Then I'll hand over to Tom, who's one of our founders and technical directors, and Tom will take you through the main bit, the bit that we're all here for basically, which is, how can we get the most out of Copilot and get it sort of doing some heavy lifting within our organisation. Yeah. So who we are, so I won't dwell too much on this, but basically for those who don't, it was a bit of a mixed bag. Some people work with us at the moment, some people don't, but just in a nutshell, Circle Cloud offer IT support and management with cybersecurity built in for SMEs. So we've effectively got one IT package that deals with your IT support, management and cybersecurity needs. So for businesses from 1 to 150 users. As you can see across the bottom there, we're very cyber/information security focused. So we've got our Cyber Essentials certification, soon to be Plus, and we've got our ISO 27001 certification as well. But more sort of relevant to this meeting, I suppose, is our Microsoft Solutions partner status. So we're actually an SMB solutions partner, which means that we are certified effectively to build solutions for our target market, that sort of 1 to 150 users space. And we were early adopters of Copilot as well. So we've been working on how we can find ways for companies within our target market to actually make the most out of Copilot, some of which we're going to sort of give you an overview of what we're going to share today. And one final thing on this is because our managed service package actually includes cybersecurity as well. One thing that we've been preparing as part of our actual infrastructure design that we roll out to our customers is the actual cybersecurity pillars that are required to stop people accessing information they shouldn't when they're using Copilot, because that's a big concern that we find at the moment is, are people going to be able to access potentially sensitive data? So we're building those protections in our security packages as we speak. In fact, they're there essentially for our customers. Yeah, next slide. So a final one for me. So what we're going to cover before I hand over to Tom. So we've basically sent, so it's not just the kind of dry relaying of information with no context. We've basically built this around a particular scenario, and that scenario is you're preparing for a board meeting, or Tom's preparing for a board meeting. So the point isn't that you use Copilot necessarily just to prepare for board meetings, but what that does is it allows us to pass through some of the key features that you could maybe use within your organisation. So as we're doing things, as Tom's showing you things, just be thinking, how could I, what processes in my business, what documentation do I use where what Tom's shown me could be applicable. So we're going to look at what is Copilot and how is it different to public AI, so some of the other products out there. How to turn messy spreadsheets and documents into actual usable insights, and that's going to be a real meaty part of it. So taking unstructured data and turning it into something that, producing graphs and actual things that tell you useful information about your business, and then producing the actual documentation associated to the board meeting, i.e. PowerPoint and a Word document with an agenda effectively. And so how we do that using Copilot as efficiently as possible. That's me. I'll hand over to Tom And yeah, just like I say, just get creative in terms of how we can use it within your business.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Andy. Hi everyone, as Andy mentioned, I'm Tom, the Technical Director of Circle Cloud. Just before we crack on here, I just want to make a point about the slides, while I get my screen set up. If you did attend the last webinar, this is the same content that we did last time. So I'm telling you, obviously, we want as many people as possible to attend our webinars. So we want as many people to stay on them, but equally, I don't want people to waste the time if they did attend the last one. It is the same session, but we do have another session on is it the 23rd? I think it is. Let me just double check that. Yeah, it's on the 23rd of July. We have another session. That's going to be some different content and Copilot. We got really good feedback last time. So, in terms of what we're actually going to cover today is, the first thing is what is Copilot. We're going to go through what Copilot is. We've got a few particular points around security, differences between public AI and Microsoft AI. And then we're going to talk you through sort of how an example, like a preparation for a board meeting, basically, and with the intention being not that you copy that exactly, but you see different ways that we're using Copilot, and you'll probably see things that you're doing in your day-to-day that you can use it probably in a similar way as well. So it's about giving you some inspiration for use cases, because that's what we see as a challenge to adoption. So just for anyone who doesn't know, first of all, what is Copilot? So Copilot effectively is it's the AI built in your Microsoft 365 environment and applications. The interesting thing probably for a lot of people is it actually runs the same models, the same AI models, literally the exact same ones that are published by companies like OpenAI and Anthropic. So if you're using products like ChatGPT, their models such as GPT 5.5 is in 365 Copilot. So are the later sort of Claude models as well. They're also in there. So in terms of from an AI perspective, the actual intelligence, you are getting access to these models. These aren't Microsoft's own. They've got deals with these AI providers, and they're bringing them into the Microsoft stack for all their user base to benefit from it. And the key difference, really, the key thing is obviously Copilot is embedded in your Microsoft 365 app. So when you're in the Microsoft 365 environment online in the browser or in the desktop applications, you've probably seen the Copilot icon for some of you, especially those who've got licenses. So you'll probably start seeing that Copilot icon in the different Microsoft apps. So it's embedded in Microsoft 365, so we can combine that AI intelligence or that AI capability with our information and make both those things a lot more powerful. But what's prompted this webinar series from our point of view is Copilot has actually undergone a big change recently, and it's what Microsoft described as their Wave 3 upgrade to Copilot, and it's took Copilot genuinely to another level. The key sort of overriding difference being that Copilot will now do a lot more for you, create items, edit files for you, versus previously, not necessarily only this, but it was previously doing a lot more of pulling information for you. Its ability to actually do work has increased dramatically in this recent upgrade. So one of the topics we want to cover first is we do get asked quite a bit by customers, well, why don't I just use ChatGPT or Claude, or why can't I? And the answer is you can. So what we want to go through really is what is the differences, why might you use them, why might you not? But this will not take long, but I just want to give you a bit of an overview on this stuff. So the first thing to be aware of is when you're using a product like ChatGPT or Claude, they aren't hosted in the Microsoft environment, those models. They're hosted on Anthropic servers or OpenAI servers. So every time you put information in, files into these products, your data has to be sent to their servers to be processed, and then sent back, the response be sent back to you. So just by the simple fact that data is leaving your boundary, as we'd call it, you are losing control over that information. And regardless of how secure these companies are, compliance requirements that they meet, there's still your data is leaving. So there is risk there. So it's worth it being aware of that, and that depends on what you're sharing ultimately and how important that is to you. But that's my job is I just want to make you aware of that really. The second thing is in 365, it's not like that. With Copilot in Microsoft 365, the AI model is actually hosted within the Microsoft environment. So when you're sharing your information with it, when you're providing documents to it, that data isn't leaving your Microsoft environment. And then the benefit you get then is whatever security. So as Andy was mentioning, obviously we do like a security managed service for our customers. All of that security configuration that we've done then applies to Copilot as well. You get the benefit of that with Copilot, and if your IT teams have done similar things, you can actually apply. You still get the benefit of that security setup. The other thing to be aware of is that Copilot will emulate the user's permissions. So whatever files you have access to, your Copilot will have access to as well, which is both a good and a bad thing. If everyone's got access to just what they need, that's great. But if people have got access to things that they shouldn't have, but they might not have realized they've got access to it, Copilot will likely expose that. And obviously it has access to all your files, your emails, your team's data, but that's the big benefit of it versus these other products. It's you can use AI with your day-to-day information from Microsoft 365. So why don't people use AI more at work? Why aren't we using Copilot? These are just some sort of like cultural or like mental barriers that we just see from experience that it's worth watching out for really in your business and even for yourself that we see. And one of them is the idea of expecting perfection from the AI. I've spoke personally to quite a lot of people who are starting to work with it, and even within our own business, when we first started implementing Copilot, people would try using it, but if it didn't do the job 100% perfectly the first time, it was a case of, oh, it's pointless, I can just do it myself. When the reality is, if you get to do that first draft and do that, and even if you need to fix it and tweak it by say 20%, you're still saving a bulk of the work. And I think that's just a bit of a mental habit to sort of just be wary of. The second thing is actually it not doing at all what you want, but the instructions being really unclear. You know, it's similar to if you hire a person in your business, you need to be really clear with what you want them to do, and Copilot is the same. You know, the more you actually put into it in terms of being specific with the instructions and what the outcomes are you want, the better in most cases. Sometimes actually the benefit of it is the fact that you want it to help you decide on what to do, but that's a different thing. I think generally speaking is we need to be really clear with our instructions. And then actually a lack of knowledge on the Copilot feature, which I'm not going to talk too much about right now because we are going to come on to that in the actual demo. So what we're going to do with the demo is we're going to basically talk about preparing for a board meeting. That's the example we've used because typically there'll be multiple types of information involved in that. And we're going to talk you through preparing data, taking some messy data from sort of zero, and building out some spreadsheets using Copilot, like some reports. Then we're going to build a pre-read pack that we can send out to our board meeting attendees, which will give them a summary of the meeting in advance. And then we're also going to pull all together into a PowerPoint deck, basically, that we could use on the day to navigate the meeting. But first of all, there's one thing I want to mention to you, because quite a lot of people have said to us is when they're using Copilot, we're sick of telling Copilot the same thing all the time. And I want to make you aware of a thing called custom instructions in Copilot. And I'm just going to show you that now. So basically what this will allow you to do is if you go into office.com, you can actually give it context that it'll remember about your role and your job, and I'll show you how to do that. Just go into office.com, go down to the settings on the bottom left, click into personalization, edit instructions, and you can see how I've put my own example in in here. So I've said I'm a director of an MSP that serves the SME market, and my writing style is short and straightforward, because sometimes it's quite verbose when it's typing emails or documents, and that's not really how I would type normally. But the benefit of this is every time you use Copilot, it will actually read and keep these instructions in memory, so you can keep adding to them all the time as you think, oh, I keep having to tell it this particular instruction or this bit of context. Go into the custom instructions, add it in there. You won't need to keep doing it. So that's just a little tip that I think you can use straight away. The next thing we're going to do though is go into Excel and start preparing some data. So what we really want you guys to get from this, from the Excel part, is to recognize that Copilot, as you can see here, all we do to start using Copilot is press the Copilot button on the right, and we put in a, let me just go back a second. Get rid of that. Let's try and get rid of the screen. There you go. So what we do, what I've said here basically is I've asked it to produce specific sort of tabs for me, and what I did just there, to just go back a little bit, is we give it our prompt in terms of what we want. So we're saying to it, actually create some tabs, give me a trailing 12 months trend for revenue and net profit. Look at the last, give me a comparison for last quarter versus previous quarters, profitability analysis, all that type of stuff. But then what you can do is you can press the little plus button and you can add files to it. And what I'm going to do here is show you the type of data that we're adding. So from something like Zero, if anyone uses it, you don't get great data out of it in terms of it's well structured. So it's quite raw data. There's the P&L data in a CSV file, not something you could use part of a board pack really. And then we've got from a different system our sales pipeline forecast. And what I'm trying to show you is we can dump that data in here, give it quite specific instructions, and then Copilot will basically produce all these tabs for me. Obviously, it didn't do it that quickly. I have pre-recorded these just so you're not waiting for it to do that. But in reality, it took 2 or 3 minutes for it to produce this spreadsheet. And you'll see what it's actually produced just now. So it'll give me a quick sort of summary of what it's actually done and how it works. And then you'll be able to see the different tabs, and we'll just flick through the tabs at the bottom. But you can see it's just giving a quick explanation of what it's done. And just press done. It'll keep those changes that it's made. And then you can go through, you can see the raw data that it's pulled in. Then it's done like the trailing 12-month trend, the charts. You know, it takes time to do this stuff. For me personally, it would take me a couple of hours to do this. You know, it's done a quarterly comparison of the margins, the gross margins, but create the charts, all the stuff that, especially if you're not really, really good with Excel, takes time to do, and it's usually not done as well in my experience. Profitability analysis, future projections, and this is quite good because it's used 2 different types of data: Zero's P&L, the sales data. But then there's a really good example here of something with Copilot in that. Can you see this feature here where it's actually toggling? So I asked it to give me the ability to use the total pipeline in my projections, or like a weighted pipeline. And what it's done is it's created like a toggle there. And I think this is quite an important point about Copilot, is it won't just do what you can do faster. It won't maybe do it in a more structured way. It'll actually do things that maybe you don't know how to do. Because for me personally, I don't know how to have a toggle in Excel that would change the data that I see. So if you actually get more out of the Office products as well, that by utilizing features that you maybe didn't know how to use yourself before. So that's quite a good point. It's not just about being faster. It can actually do things that maybe you didn't know, or these products are very deep products, especially Excel, and it'll just take more advantage. It'll push that ceiling high really of what you can do with these products. So now we've got our data structured, we've got our charts, and we can go on and use that. But the idea really there was to sort of demonstrate to you, if you've got systems where the reporting's not great, the output, the way it isn't very structured, then this is ideal for you really to dump that data into Copilot, tell it what you want to do with it, and it'll structure it nicely for you. So once we've now got our Excel workbook, we're now going to create this sort of pre-read document for our board attendees. So same again, we've got a prompt here. I want it to create me. I'm just telling it I want you to create me a pre-read, and I want you to use the following sources. So I'm asking it there to reference where. Can you see where I've got these underlined bits here? I'm saying use the board pack data, use the that we've just created. So use that data we've just created from that spreadsheet. Pull data from our weekly meeting. So we have a weekly meeting at Circle Cloud. So go and pull information from that weekly meeting file that we've got, and gather all of that and put it into a pre-read of anything that's relevant. One of the things I've also asked it to do here as well is have a look in our emails between from people in our management team and pull any sort of discussion points or items that you think are worth being on the on this document or including the board meeting, and put those into like an optional section so I can go through myself and decide if they really are useful or not. But I've put this in here just to demonstrate the sort of power really of what it can, how many different data sources it can use. It's not just documents, it's your messages and your emails, and you can access them from different places within Copilot. So now just give me a bit of a summary of what it's going to do, so I can review it, and now I can just say, yeah, crack on, put that into the document for me, and then we'll have a quick flick through the document, and I'll show you sort of what it's pulled together. So it's pulled the document together. You can see it's referenced the previous month's board meeting minutes, pulled any items that were carried forward through for us into this meeting. It's then went to Excel and pulled the financial overview, and rather than someone sort of reading through all the charts, so here's an example of where, just to show you can actually still modify these documents yourself, just as you normally would. You know, if you want to put page breaks in, change the format in. It's pulled through pipeline summaries from the spreadsheet we've created. It's pulled all of these items here, so you can see like things such as our ISO audit discussions, all things from our weekly meeting, just to demonstrate it can pull from all these different places. And then, as you can see here, I can go and tidy it up. It's pulled items from our recent communications, from our messages, our emails, things that we've discussed on email and on message as well. So now we've got a full sort of ready-made document that we can distribute after a bit of tidying up to our sort of attendees, you know, to prepare them for that meeting. And then the last thing I want to show you is actually doing something in PowerPoint. So we don't want to be sat there on the day reading documents, reading spreadsheets. So what I'm going to ask it to do now basically is to take the two documents that we've created and put it all into a PowerPoint, basically. So I've just said, can you create slides for the board meeting, put them in logical order, use the data from the board pack data that we've created previously, and also from the document that we've just created. So I've referenced them. One thing there worth noting is if you want to reference a document from SharePoint or OneDrive, just press / in Copilot, and it'll give you a list of all your documents, and you should be able to find the ones that you want to work from. And you'll basically just see here now that it's a quick it's not going to take a lot. It'll ask me a few questions, a few clarifications. About exactly what topics I want to include from the documents that we've given it. And you can just see sort of what exactly it's doing. Obviously, I've sped this up a bit now, but this is the output, which is effectively a real good starting point for a PowerPoint. It saves you a lot of time, this, and actually tends to structure it better. And then you can go in and tweak it, add information, format it. But I think he's just an example of the actual PowerPoint itself now, what it's produced. So you can see all this context it's got from the information that we've fed it. And I think that's the real sort of demonstration today, really, is how all of it pulls together. It's not one data source, it's pulling it all from multiple sources, really. And that's where Microsoft 365 Copilot is really powerful. So then obviously I can go in and I can, so them charts, I don't really like the colours of them, for example, so I can go and copy them out of Excel myself and just make those changes and pull them in and put them in myself. So you can still modify this. It might just give you a really good starting point and structure that you can work from. So that's our board pack. We've got a really good first draft now. We've got our data, we've got our pre-read document, and we've got our PowerPoint slides for the day. You know, and this probably in total took me about half an hour to do. You know, it's similar to what it took me today, not a great deal more time. This this tool that we've used ourselves for our company update we've done yesterday, so it really is a useful tool. But that's the main presentation from myself. I'll pass you back over to Andy so he can tell you what comes next.
Yeah, cheers, Tom. Just the last slide. So just what we expect next. So like I said at the beginning, thanks for attending. Really appreciate you showing up, taking your time to come join the webinar today. So what you'll expect over the next, I think it'll probably come from James tomorrow. So we'll collect any questions. I don't think, let me just have a quick look. No, I don't think we've had any, which is fine. So potentially a good thing. Maybe we've sufficiently answered everything. But in the meantime, if you've got anything that crops up, just drop us a message, and we can still answer questions. We'll send you a link to the recording, just as that first question in the nick of time. Yes, we will send you a link to the recording. So that'll be in the email. All this will come through in the same email. Send you the questions, link to the recording. But also we'll offer, and basically what we're offering to people who attend these webinars is a free 1 hour Copilot consultation. So it's effectively taking some of the principles that we know and looking at some examples within your business as to how we can actually apply what Copilot is capable of to the scenarios that you've got to ensure that you can get the best out of it in your context, because that's what's important, because it's such an open-ended product with a lot of capability, and so it's about your scenarios. So that is available to people who have attended as well. That's it from us. Thank you very much.
One more thing, just to remind you, obviously we have got another webinar where we'll be covering a different sort of Copilot topic, but it'll be a similar sort of thing, similar half an hour webinar. That's on the 23rd of July, and we'll send you some information on that and the link for it.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys.